Hello guys, and welcome to this new episode. Today I'm going to shim the gearbox and check for motor height to make it as precise as possible, and then I'm gonna rewire the entire gun to allow a MOSFET, a very simple MOSFET in. I'm going to build my very own simple MOSFET. I decided to either go for the cheapest MOSFET available or and then directly make the jump to possibly a full-fledged MOSFET in the future. So for now we'll be checking the correct shimming on the gearbox. I've already set the motor height so that the pinion and bevel are exactly parallel to each other, and there's optimal meshing with the teeth of these pinion and bevel. There's just a single 0.1 shim below the gearbox itself. This pinion has plenty of side-to-side movement, not a lot, but as most people say, this is the correct way of having it. So right now what I'm gonna do is remove the motor cage in the hand grip, then close the entire gearbox, check for the correct shimming on the top, which is actually the bottom, since I'm using the top part of the gearbox to start the shimming. So I'm going to check the correct shimming of these to have at least a 0.1 millimeters movement of this bevel gear. Then I'm gonna take these out, check the spoor, set 0.1 possibly on the spoor gear, then check for the correct bevel to spoor gear meshing, then take the bevel out, close the gearbox and check the correct shimming to allow once more a maximum of 0.1 millimeters side-to-side movement of the spark gear. Then I'm gonna take the spark gear off, I'm gonna put the sector gear in, I'm gonna check for the correct meshing. Probably I'm gonna put a 0.1 millimeter shim just to start. Then I'm gonna put the spoor gear and the sector in. I'm gonna check for the correct meshing of the spoor against the sector. Once that's done, I'm gonna take the spoor off, I'm gonna close the gearbox, check the correct side-to-side movement of the sector gear to allow a maximum of 0.1 millimeter side-to-side movement again. Then I'm gonna put the cylinder in with the piston, and I'm gonna check the sector against the piston teeth, and that's pretty much it. Then I'm gonna put everything in without the piston. I'm gonna close the gearbox with the bevel, spoor and sector in, and then I'm gonna test with the gearbox completely closed if just by rolling either the sector or the bevel gear by hand I'm getting a nice movement. Then I'm probably gonna take a very low power battery and I'm gonna run the gearbox for 2 to 3 minutes just to make it spin and settle in, and I'll guess at that point we'll be seeing us for the end of the episode. Okay, thank you very much. What I'm gonna do here is not rocket science, it's just the best shimming procedure that I believe is possible with this gearbox. It's a version 2, but it applies to version 3 as well. Some people start with the spoor gear. I am starting with the bevel instead, because as most people on forums and most expert airsoft gun techs say, if you start with your spoor gear and you start shimming all the pieces as low as possible, you'll end up with the wrong pinion to bevel alignment. Instead, I'm gonna start straight on from where the movement begins, which is the pinion, then bevel to spoor, spoor to sector, and then each piece individually, as well as I explained before. Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you probably very quickly for you, but it will take me, I guess, a good 20 or 30 minutes too. Okay, and here we go. I'm getting a very smooth movement, and more than, I'd say, 3 or 4 turns, actually more than 4 or 5 sometimes, when I'm actually able to get a nice grip out of the sector gear. Everything has been done nicely. I would say, just for the record of it, I've been placing a 0.1 on the top of the bevels pur and sector, and on the bottom I've been putting 0.2, 0.2, 0.1 on the bevel for a total of 0.5, 0.2 and 0.2 on the spur gear for a total of 0.4, and 0.2 multiplied by 4 plus an additional 0.1 for the sector gear. That makes it a total of 0.9 millimeters for the sector. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode, where I'll be rerouting the entire wire section of the gun to install my very own simple MOSFET. Okay, thank you very much. See you at the next challenge. Bye bye.